Hi, my name is Jonathan Svitak, and I'm an attorney with the Shannon Law Group. We help individuals who've been injured or experienced side effects due to vaccines. And we do this by pursuing compensation through the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program. I'm sure most of you are familiar with the experience of going to your doctor and they ask you, when was your last tetanus shot? I know I have, and if it's been more than 10 years, or you might have a reason to get a tetanus shot. You may have cut yourself, maybe gotten bitten by a dog. Either way, the doctor's going to recommend a tetanus shot, and those are usually administered intramuscularly up in your left or right shoulder. For the most part, you're not going to experience any kinds of significant side effects. You may have some swelling or pain at the injection site, but these symptoms will go away after a day or two. Now, if you've had significant pain in your shoulder and the pain hasn't gone away, it's been a week or longer since your vaccine, you might be experiencing a more severe injury called SIRVA. SIRVA happens when the vaccine is either administered too high up on your shoulder or at the wrong angle, and it causes inflammation of your shoulder joint. So that could be the tendons, the ligaments, or the bursa within your joint become inflamed. And usually, like you mentioned, you'll experience pain in that shoulder, followed by restricted range of motion, maybe some weakness in that shoulder. And so after a week or longer, it's important to go to the doctor to get it checked out and to see whether or not there is inflammation in your shoulder joint, if it's a serious injury. And typically, if you go to the doctor, they're not going to diagnose you with SIRVA. SIRVA isn't a diagnosis itself. For the most part, whether it's via clinical examination or an MRI, the diagnoses associated with SIRVA are impingement syndrome, rotator cuff injury, bursitis, tendonitis, adhesive capsulitis, or frozen shoulder. These types of diagnoses are associated with SIRVA. And they're all treated in relatively the same manner. You're going to have maybe some pain medications, some anti-inflammatory medications, and some physical therapy to see if you can regain some of that movement or motion and strength in your shoulder. These conservative methods don't work. They may try a steroid injection coupled with therapy, or if these don't work, then you might be a candidate for surgery to try and repair your shoulder joint. So if you believe that you've been injured by a vaccine, what are your options? Well, first I'd recommend contacting an attorney to figure out if you're eligible for the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program. And there's some criteria that would either prevent or allow you to file a petition in the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program. First, you had to have received the vaccine in the United States. Now, there's some exceptions to that, but for the most part, if you've received the vaccine in the United States, you're going to be eligible to file. The vaccine that you received must be covered under the program. There's a list of vaccines that are included on the vaccine injury table. As long as you've received that vaccine, then you're eligible to file. The symptoms of your injury have to persist for at least 6 months. They call that the severity requirement. So if you've had symptoms of your injury for 6 months, you're going to be eligible. There's an exception to that as well. If your injury required a hospitalization and surgery, then it doesn't have to last 6 months in order to file. And lastly, to satisfy the statute of limitations, you have to file your petition within 3 years of the date of onset of your vaccine injury symptoms. And there are really no exceptions to that rule, so it's a strict 3-year deadline to get your petition on file. But if you meet all that criteria, you're free to file a petition in the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program. And that's what we do. We help people file petitions in that program. And once your petition is filed, your case will go through the regular process of review. So the first stage of the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program is called the entitlement phase where we're going to determine whether you're entitled to compensation or not. They're going to review the vaccine that you received, the injury that you're alleging, and see if you've either satisfied the criteria of the vaccine injury table, or you can prove that the vaccine caused your injury. Once we make it through that phase, the second phase is called the damages phase, where we determine how much compensation you're entitled to. In general, there's three types of compensation available. There's pain and suffering damages, where they try to compensate you for the severity of the injury, the impact that it's had on your daily life, things like that. There's out-of-pocket medical expenses, so anything not covered by insurance, you can get reimbursed for through this program. And then there's lost earnings, income, wages. If you've missed time from work due to this, whether it's because of the injury or for treatment for the injury, you can get that lost time or lost wages reimbursed. And that includes into the future as well. So if this is a permanent type injury where you're going to be out of work for an extended period of time, or you're going to be incurring medical expenses into the future, they do allow for future reimbursement of those costs and expenses as well. So it makes sense to hire an attorney for this for many different reasons, but the first and obvious one is that it's free. You're not going to pay an attorney anything to pursue a case in this program, because the attorney gets paid through the same fund that pays out compensation to petitioners. You're never going to see any bills or be asked to pay for costs. At least from our firm, we never send out any bills, or we never ask anybody to pay for costs or expenses, whether we're successful or unsuccessful in their case. Second, important reason to hire an attorney is that this program can be kind of confusing to navigate, and it helps to have an attorney know the types of injuries that can get compensated, the value of certain injuries and conditions, and how to work with the government and the Department of Justice to try and resolve your case. Most attorneys that work within this program will be familiar with the judges in the U.S. Court of Federal Claims, and they'll be familiar with the requirements for proving that you were injured by a vaccine. So again, it makes a lot of sense to hire an attorney to help you with this. If you or a loved one has experienced an injury or a side effect due to a vaccine, you can schedule a consultation with us. We'd love to go over options with you. You can call us at 312-578-9501.